Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Bomb Shelter. This is episode 0. I'm joined by LT Huber.
Of the Slaughterhouse, yeah.
Of the Slaughterhouse, yeah. So we're in the Slaughterhouse right now, and all that we're going to be doing for episode 0 is simply going over the format. I'm going to tell him, LT, in explicit detail exactly how this is going to work and what my idea is going to be in regards to how I'm going to scam the fuck out of every single one of you. So listen up, and hopefully you can make some money too in this Ponzi scheme that I have. So, essentially, I am learning how to use Blender, right? And so because I'm learning how to use Blender, what I'm going to be doing is... Hold up. Nailed it. Okay. So basically, when I was in high school... People don't know, I painted and I drew, and I had a very, very particular, don't melt my cord, I just bought that. I had a very, just so people, like, you can't see it, but we lit, like, what is that, like 16 candles? So this whole bomb shelter is lit up right now with just candles. It's good ambiance, we've got some coffee, we've got some incense, and so he's about to melt my cord that I just bought.
Okay, it's nowhere near the fire.
You put it above the fire.
I'm trying to move it over here.
I'm just saying, dude.
Look how tight it is.
If you burn down the house, that's one thing. I own that cord. I don't own the house. It's a big difference. So, anyways. So my whole idea is I'm going to learn how to use Blender. And because I took such a long break in between high school and painting there, and then now, I lost a lot of the fine motor control that's needed for painting and drawing. It's not one of those things where, at least in my experience, where it's like riding a bike where you just pick it up and you're good again. No, and actually, it takes a lot of time to get back to where you were if you took a few years break. So essentially, my idea is that I would get really good at Blender and I'd get really good at modeling, and then I do the same process in digital editing that I did in high school, except the creative sort of process where instead I would take a photo, I would take it into Photoshop, I would digitally edit it, then I'd print out that edited photo, and then I would paint from that photo. That was the transformative process that I had in high school. The process now is going to be just offload most of the creative stuff into Blender beforehand, make the cool image there, and then, render it, screen cap it, and then take it into Photoshop or GIMP or whatever, and then do the same kind of digital editing. And the editing that I would do in Photoshop, as I did in high school, is much more compositional. So it's not necessarily like I'm not painting per se in Photoshop. It's just more, how do I crop it? How do I cut it? Do I layer multiple images over each other for the composition itself? And I would be doing, instead of doing, you can do layers in Blender as well, as far as I'm aware. I would be doing the actual layering in Photoshop or GIMP because I know how to use those a lot better. So that's the general idea, and then for each one of those, I would make a new thumbnail for this video. And I also, you'll see this when I upload... Holy shit. Almost knocked over the candles. You'll see this when I upload this. There's a main thumbnail, like a logo, that I made for the podcast itself, which I'm going to keep. I'm not giving the rights away to that because... It's just going to be the ongoing logo. So essentially, I would upload, including this episode, I would upload with a thumbnail which I'm going to transform into an NFT. Eventually, as we get more followers and more listeners, what's going to happen is that I will sell the NFTs. Once an NFT has been bought, then I'll just transition the thumbnail of each video back to our own logo. But until then, each episode is going to have its own little NFT associated with it. So in the future, if we have cool guests on the show like LT, God help me trying to find guests that live up to the LT and his glory and his, magnitude.
This is how you're gonna pander to like every guest?
Exactly. Just wait till I have Joe Rogan. I'm gonna be just sucking his dick. Anyways, no, but basically, we'd be selling the NFTs for each episode. That would be a fun little thing that we're doing. And hopefully that takes off. It'll actually be kind of cool. And it's an excuse for me to get really good at Blender, which is just fun in general. So then the actual focus of the podcast itself is going to be philosophy. So one of these, I know I keep talking, but just give me another 5 minutes so we can start shooting the shit. But essentially, I listen to a lot of podcasts, and I've come to this conclusion that Lex Friedman does an okay job. Joe Rogan is wonderful at this, but he isn't necessarily, I don't think he has the enough expertise to actually make super interesting content that isn't related to conspiracy theories or chimpanzees. The episodes with Duncan Trussell are fucking amazing. Those are some of the best, that's the best entertainment that I've ever listened to or watched, and it's incredible. But at the same time, it doesn't really have the depth that I'm looking for. As I get older, I don't, if I want a cheap, quick, experience, I'll just go watch a movie. I don't even watch movies. I don't like movies that much. I like depth. So it seems like one of the ways to solve this issue, instead of having one guest per episode, I would have one guest for 12 episodes, and over the course of that 12 episodes, we would be going through a philosophical text that neither of us have read, and then we go through, without getting into details too much, but like sort of a dialectical process where we review each chapter that we read, or we chunk out each section of the text 1 week at a time, and then through that we use it as sort of a spark for the conversation itself, and then after that we can transition to just hanging out after we go through that. But it'll be a fun little way to engage with the readers, or it would be the readers, but engage with the listeners who are also reading alongside us. So that's the general sort of two things that I want to accomplish with this. And I haven't said the name of the podcast yet, but it is Digital Ascetic, because part of this, and I don't know if we're going to keep going with this, but the idea is that both the guest and me, the host, during the course of these 12 weeks, are going to abstain from consuming digital media. I told LT this before. If you are using digital media to make something, that's different, because fundamentally your relationship to that digital media is different. But the goal is to avoid consumption as much as possible for 12 weeks, because that also, I really do believe this, it gives enough room to be bored, and it's when you're bored, that's when you actually have creative insights into things, like philosophy. So those are the three sort of gimmicks of this podcast and why it's going to be unique. And then you asked why we aren't having a video camera to film this. Maybe in the future I will, but I think it would be kind of cool to
disassociate, the face to the voice.
To disassociate it?
Yeah.
That's an idea. But yes, essentially that. But it would also be,
you don't get to see our ugly mugs.
No, I'm beautiful. I don't know what he's talking about. But anyways, my 260-pound self. But it would be, how you see, like on YouTube, you'll see people do drawings or whatever in Blender that are speed runs, basically, of them finishing the drawing. So over the course of the podcast, if it's an hour-long podcast, then I would be doing whichever picture becomes the NFT, I would be doing that sort of speed paint over the course of the episode. So you get to watch the painting unfold, the image unfold, which becomes the NFT that we're going to sell. That's going to be a collector's item. And while you're listening, you get a dose of philosophy, and each week you can read along with us and shout at the screen because you came to conclusions that we didn't. So those are the main things that we're going for with this. Do you have any thoughts?
Not really.
Go.
Yeah.
No? All right, cool. So, what's up, dude? How you doing?
Doing all right.
Doing all right?
Yeah.
So, what kind of porn you watching lately?
Wow, that's a topic. Now, a question on the philosophical part.
All right.
I guess you think philosophy's only good when you're bored?
It's not. Well, that's no, it's not. But the whole point is that I'm not a neuroscientist. I will admit that.
I mean, none of us are, but
none of us are. But from what I've read, there is an actual association between the rate of original sort of creative thoughts that people have and the quantity of time that they are bored. So if you're bored 3 hours a day versus somebody who's on their phone consuming digital media, maybe they're only bored 15 minutes of the day, you're going to have more chances to actually let your mind wander. And it's in the the interaction between a wandering mind and the philosophy text, that good commentary is going to come out of that. Who knows, maybe this is a dumb idea. But in my head, that would be a good way to get good commentary, is to kind of force yourself. And in the modern age, I feel like this is really true. At least I feel this. I use my media way too fucking much. And so I think that there is sort of a big push that's either here or it's coming of people saying, no, wait a minute. We should be minimalist with how we actually consume these things. And here's an example, right? The children of tech CEOs don't get phones till they're 16. Why do you think that is? Because they design phones and they design apps to be as addicting as possible, because attention is money. Right? So you are the product, obviously, in this scheme. And so your attention, your consciousness is being warped as the product, which I think is, it's entertaining. The same way that, crack cocaine is entertaining. But it's unhealthy in the long run. And I think in the next 20 years, we are going to see kind of a movement that is sort of a pushback against that kind of consumption or consumptive culture with digital media. And so this is going to be kind of riding that wave. Fingers crossed. So that's the idea. All right.
Now, with this podcast, you don't have questions that you come up beforehand to help smooth out?
Well, we would. So here's the thing. So I haven't talked to you in a fat minute. So as far as questions go, okay, I do have a question. Would you rather live easily or deeply? Did I ask you this over text?
No, but you want to care to explain a little bit?
I will. I'm so glad you asked me that, LT. Okay, so... Right, so... I've actually asked a lot of people this question. I have got some very, very interesting answers back. Essentially, the way that I would define depth of living is that you can have 5 minutes that feel like 5 years. And you can have 5 years that feel like 5 minutes, right? Somebody who has trained their entire life to go compete in the Olympics for 5 minutes, win or lose, it's beside the point. For 5 minutes, they're living more deeply than anybody else on the planet. For them, that they if they're professional athletes, they would orient themselves in no other way. For them, that is their highest expression of being human. So for them, it is natural for them to seek out depth in their life. But as a consequence of depth, and I would define depth as being inherently, it is inherently a consequence of suffering and sacrifice. So when a woman gives birth for the first time and she's holding her newborn, what she's holding is not necessarily just a child. Right? She's getting this physical, obviously she's getting bombarded with dopamine and serotonin and oxytocin to bond herself to the child physically. But she's also holding the weight of her future. Her entire life is going to be shaped after this moment. It's going to be shaped by holding that child. And on a subconscious level, at least, she knows that her life is never going to be the same. She will never be the same. And so that whether that sacrifice is going to come after the moment as a consequence, or it comes before the moment in the case of the athlete, there is a level of sacrifice and commitment and suffering that goes into these heightened experiences, these heightened moments.
So that's deeply.
That's living deeply. So living easily is the exact opposite.
Like
it's
9 to 5, just someone.
You're minimizing suffering. It doesn't have to be 9 to 5. If you're somebody who's cool with it, you could be playing guitar and just hopping trains. But you're minimizing the amount of suffering and strife that you have in your life. And like I said, I define depth of living as being inherently tied to suffering and sacrifice. So if you wish to sacrifice nothing, if you wish to suffer not, then you can say that your orientation is towards living easily. And I'd also, obviously, you're almost never going to find people who are 0 to 100 one way, other than like athletes might be close to 99 or 98.
Oh, to answer your question, I would say easily.
You live easily. Why?
Because why the fuck would I want to put so much effort into 5 minutes?
Right. So
at least currently, like, I don't have any like desire to do anything provocative, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, at least right now, it's like, I'd rather do something that has at most equal, like, what was it, rewards for all the effort I put into it, you know?
The 1-to-1
Yeah.
effort to reward.
And that's what I would like.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, see, I think that's most people, right? Like I said, most people are
easily.
not.
I would imagine that's like the pinnacle of like living easy.
So, what I was going to say next, I see what you're saying. I'm just going to say next is that most people don't live at the extremes. You know, they probably live closer to the middle. I would assume there'd be like a normal distribution for this kind of stuff. But I would also say there's virtually nobody, just as there's very people who live at the exact extremes, there's virtually nobody who lives 50-50. You're still going to have, even the most balanced people are still going to be 49-51 or 51-49 in one direction. So you would say you'd probably be more towards the middle because you said it's 1-to-1. You still want effort, but you'd like an equal amount of reward to that. And you don't necessarily see that 5 minutes as being worth it, even though an athlete might say in those 5 minutes, it is a 1-to-1, it's just delayed.
At least to me, it seems, at least maybe it's my short-sightedness, but like, let's say if I was an athlete and I'm putting months of work into 5 minutes in the Olympics, that does not compute for me, because it's like, why the hell would I put months of work for 5 minutes of glory? And I'm granted, you get on commercials after that if you get gold and whatnot, but
if you get gold, how many people do that?
See, that's the bit, you're not guaranteed, and even when you get gold, that's just like the after image. That's not what really like is pushing you, right? It's that winning thing, because that's like a lot of athletes, they like love that dopamine they get from winning, right?
Yeah.
So 5 minutes of winning, I don't think that makes sense for 10 months worth of training. Like, that's so much hard work.
Yeah, no, I see what you're saying.
Too much for me, at least.
So here's an interesting thing. So, how do you think your dad would answer that?
Probably deeply.
Really?
More deeply, yeah.
So what do you think he would say? What would his rationalization be?
I'm trying to think. That's the first thing I think about.
Is he religious?
Nah. Atheist.
Really?
Yeah.
Fucking Marxist.
He's the only I've never been to church, into an actual
Really?
I mean, I got baptized, but I'm not I've never been to church on a Sunday.
Go hit up Jerry.
Jesus Christ, man.
You can always come to mosque with me too.
I'm okay. I'm atheist.
Alhamdulillah.
But yeah, he stopped going to church, or when he became an adult. Yeah, he stopped going to church because he hated it. So, and my mom, I think, just stopped going to church in total because she's not crazy about it.
Was she? So your mom's Korean. Was she part of a Korean church, like a Christian church? Because they're more hardcore.
Most of the Koreans here are very Christian.
Very, very Christian.
Very Protestant, yeah.
So even though he doesn't necessarily, your father, even though he doesn't orient, or he's not religious, you'd say he'd orient towards depth.
Yeah.
So what behaviors in his life makes you think that he would?
Because I feel like he really enjoys his hobbies, but then at the same time he doesn't indulge in them too much because it's always about family and all that stuff. So it's so much work. To me, I'm like, that's so much work. I don't share his same ideals in getting a family and starting a whole life and all that stuff. Kind of the normal American way. So
yeah, the American dream.
Because for me, I don't like kids, and marriage too doesn't seem worth it. Maybe that's just my dumb fuck young self, but I don't see why you'd want to do that. And so when I mentioned that to my dad, he was like, "Nah, you just joking," and I'm like,
really? "Oh shit, yeah. Dude." So if you met a girl, met a woman, what would it take for you to change your mind on that position? What is there a reality where you meet a girl who's so amazing that you do completely just change your tune?
I feel like recently, I can't really imagine what it would take, because when I get in a relationship, when I think about a relationship now, I'm always thinking, how long is this gonna last?
Cool.
Yeah, that's my first thought, and if it's worth it, because even if you get married, I'm like, divorce rate's really high. Because people just have a choice to just leave, which is, not normal, but it's good in my opinion. You're not just locked in with one person for ever, and then if it, because people change. So if it sours, you can't just eat. You have the choice to just fuck off.
Yeah.
But
so,
yeah.
So on that same note, a lot of people in the the more conservative side of sort of pop culture right now would make the claim that you need some kind of divine justification for marriages to be stable for that exact reason.
Divine as in just religious?
Like, yeah, I mean, yeah, like religious. Like, my mom, for example, she's very she's very Christian, but she doesn't go to church. So if you ask her, she's like, oh, I'm spiritual, but I'm not. I think it's a bit of hogwash. Either you're Christian or not. But that's beside the point, because, if in her mind, I'm sure, if my parents ever got into a bad fight, they don't really fight that much. They're a pretty good couple. They're pretty solid. But if they would, the first thing that would be on my mom's mind is not, when am I getting out of here? It'd be, is it right to leave? Like, legitimately questioning whether or not. Like, there's a divine kind of jurisdiction that says leaving is only okay under circumstances that are mortal. If your life is under threat because you're getting abused, sure, why not? Because of that, God wants to see you live. I'd assume so. Allah would want to see you live more than he would want to see you stay with somebody who's a dirtbag. But unless you're in that situation, it's your duty to stay. And that's probably where she'd arrive at in her head. So, do you think, as the modern conservatives would claim, you need that kind of divine jurisdiction?
No.
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 So, but the divorce rate is so high.
Yeah, and like I said, I think it's just due to the living standards here.
Yeah. So you think that it's just tied to prosperity?
Yeah, and people have the freedom to just fuck off from each other, which is amazing. In my opinion, it's like, think about the internet. Mm-hmm. The reason why it blew up so fast because you could be anonymous and you can literally fuck off from a conversation that you don't like.
Yeah.
Say block
just
people.
Ghost them.
Yeah, ghost them. Same thing here. If you don't like your partner after a while, you just ghost them.
Just ghost them,
in
bro.
a sense.
God damn. I've been ghosted too many times. That shit's painful. Anyway, so what would your mom say, going back to the depth thing?
Same thing. I mean, that's kind of the reason why they're staying together.
They're oriented similarly. In that sense,
Because, family is a big thing for them.
Yeah.
But I just feel like it's so much work just for, what they gain from it.
Mm-hmm.
I have yet to realize what it is that people like so much about getting married and having a family.
Well, see, I like kids, so I like the idea of raising kids.
Yeah, see, I don't like kids. Yeah. And that stems from me looking back at what I was like as a kid, and I would punt that little fucker. Yeah.
Right back to the nether realm.
So.
I don't know. I mean, so when I don't like I don't like young kids.
But did you enjoy?
But I like my brothers right now though.
But
they're teenagers.
Yeah, because
teenagers are cool.
So
I actually like teenagers.
But the thing is, so think about yourself when you're a kid. Would you like to raise a kid that was like you? Because in a sense, when you have kids, that's half of you technically in your kid, and they're gonna live a similar lifestyle. Whatever,
I feel like compared to my brothers, I was a really chill kid. So as far as stress goes, my life didn't fall apart till I was a teenager, but that was more on me.
But you'd be okay with raising a kid similar to yourself.
If he was similar enough, I feel like I could give him legitimate advice.
Okay.
So I feel like that's the thing is I want to get to the point in life where I actually have enough expertise in a domain where I can mentor people, because the whole teenager thing, I love teenagers because they listen. If I have advice for my brothers and I tell them stuff, they'll actually listen. Their friends will actually listen. If I make a good argument, they'll actually listen. They'll actually they'll converse, right? They'll talk to me. It's not just little kids where it's I want this, I want that. No, why not? And you've already explained it 100 times, and you just at some point you just have to say because they said so, and then they just throw a tantrum, and it's
maybe you're talking to the wrong kids.
Well, I think that's maybe that's just my brothers. I also think that's a lot of young kids where it's just you can't. They're really curious about the world, which is what I love about young kids, but at the same time, they're very unreasonable. It's not until they get to 13 or 14 when they kind of get it for the first time. where you can actually, like, I think, really talk to them. And so, if I was a father, I probably would be a really distant father
until
about the teenage years, and then I'd be, like, heavily invested because I love that shit. And, like, same thing about mentoring people. If I have advice, that's, like, I get a lot of satisfaction out of helping people. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah. So, in that sense, I'd like to be a father. So yeah, I would like kids. But if I were to get married, it'd be 100% for kids. It wouldn't necessarily, I mean...
Fuck the wife.
Well,
I'm just here for your fucking children.
I will fuck the wife. But, I don't know. I just haven't been in a relationship in a long time. And so...
Same here, so...
It's, the whole wife part... I mean, like you said, just marriage is a really, really fragile thing. So it'd have to be a woman where I actually trusted her. Which,
you know what is funny about dating?
What?
You still remember Daniel Dennis, right?
Double D's, yeah.
Yeah. So he went back to North Carolina for a bit. And he talked to me and a bunch of other dudes, and he was like, yeah, there's a reason why, like, I fucking hate the girls in Oregon. And it's like, oh, why is that? They're so fucking stuck up, because when I go back to North Carolina, they were just so talkative and, like, totally different. And I was like, you know what? I never thought about, you know, how people girls in Oregon are compared to other states.
Kind of are. I mean, well, he's got more experience than I do outside of
Granted, he's also lived in multiple states.
Yeah.
Unlike me.
He's got a good sample.
I don't know about you, but I've only lived in Oregon.
No, at least not as, as an adult, it's only in Oregon. So.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, I mean.
And I can feel that, like, yeah, a lot of girls here are pretty, like. It's in the market, they, like, yeah, I know I'm pretty good looking, decent enough, where probably other places they're just like, you know, whatever. Like, yeah.
I think part of it is not, well, two things.
Too high standards.
Did he go to Oregon State, or did he go to college?
U of O.
You went to U of O? Same. It's the same.
But that's the thing. More hot girls there compared to Oregon State.
True. Well, that's the thing. So at Oregon State, it's a tech school, right? So it's, as far as I know, it's like 60+% male, and there is a big culture difference between universities that are majority female versus majority male. A majority male, it's completely like you said. Like, it's just a fucking dead zone. Like, for most guys, they're just, women know how much they're worth because they literally have white knights surrounding them 24/7. Even the land whales, chicks that, like, should be right up my alley, you know, the fucking smash pads. They just don't. Yeah, they're just hard to talk to. And
I've noticed that all the hot girls are in business.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah,
cocaine. That's my theory.
But engineering, it's like
that's why they stay beautiful.
One cooch for 50 dicks, so they get a pick.
Yeah. Yeah.
And U of O, like, I mean, yeah, just more cooch, but
there's more cooch. But here's the thing about U of O. From what I've heard, is it's looser in the sense that women are more okay, just like having casual hookups. But who are they hooking up with? It's still the top, like, 20-30% of guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, regular guys get laid. I don't want this to be like a red pill.
Yeah, no, I'll tell you this too. Like, girls in Oregon State were also just very open-minded too. Mm-hmm. I just was not, like, bada bing, bada boom.
You're not reciprocating the
moves. I was not pushing for it.
Yeah.
Because none of them interested me, but.
Okay.
Like, I'll tell you. You remember Kirk?
Yeah.
Yeah, so freshman year, he literally got like 50 girls' numbers in the first week. And to me, that was surprising because I was like, am I insane? Because I was I was pretty way more naive than I am now.
Yeah.
But I was like, damn, do girls really just say, yeah, let's fucking hook up? And I'm like, what the fuck?
But wasn't he also, like, even as a freshman, like, one of the captains of the rugby team and, like, making moves and shit like that? Or no?
No.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
He's just a chubby freshman kid, yeah.
I don't know. The guys, he's just got a.
But the thing is, he always just talked to him, and I guess just most girls were just like, anything's fine, you know, anything's better than none, I guess.
I don't know, man, but he's living a different.
So you see, that's the thing. And to me, I'm like, that mindset. I'm just like, nah, man, I can't just jump from one ship to the next.
Oh, I could. I just don't know how.
And I always make fun of him for it too, but yeah, he, like, after a while, he was like, fuck, man, there's too many girls talking to me. And I'm like, well, fuck you too.
Oh, yeah. Oh, what was Kirk? Holy shit, dude. No, yeah, I mean.
that general saying was like confidence, like is what girls go after. I could definitely say yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But I'm definitely I don't like being that confident because I feel like I get way too like egotistical if I like, act the part too much. So
yeah, no, fake it till you make it, because eventually what happens is you just become it. That's what happens. So, do you think that there is multiple kinds of confidence? Like, if you were to kind of break it apart, like, could you categorize? Is confidence is sort of this monolith, or is there different kinds of it? Because I consider myself very confident. It's just, I guess I'm confident in not the right ways. And also, to be fair, I'm a little older, right? So it's weirder if I'm older.
I mean, I will say confidence is very broad.
Yeah.
And I would say, there's different types of confidence.
So what kind do you think Kirk has?
Self-esteem.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit more, because my self-esteem is pretty low.
Yeah.
But his is just enough where it's like, you can just do whatever. Nothing, too, I would think, is just it's confidence in just talking to people, because usually I'm very quiet, around people, strangers. I usually don't talk to strangers, but he'll just talk to you, just be like, hey, what's up, blah, blah, blah,
This is something that I was talking to my roommate about this, Mike, who might be on the show later. We'll see, but do you going back to talking to people? I'm perfectly comfortable talking to people if there's a reason. Like, the only time that I would talk to people is if there's, like, an instrumental, to use sort of a philosophy term.
But the thing is, if it's just some random stranger in the same room, you wouldn't talk to him.
So here's an example, right? So I was at a bar with Mike, and this is why it came up, because we were really drunk. This is the day that we both finished finals, so last Thursday. We went down to Harrison's in the Peacock. We got smashed. And then we were at Harrison's, and then this guy came up. I should remember his name. This guy came up and he just started talking to us. He's a super chill dude. We were playing chess, but we're just two sheets to the window, however that saying goes. So we were playing very bad chess. So we had enough time to actually kind of talk to this guy in between turns. But basically, he's a really cool dude because he worked at breweries for a long time. We were talking about where to find mushrooms. Like psychedelic mushrooms. We were talking about a whole bunch of different stuff. I'm like, dude, like this guy, you can just tell some people have lived a lot of lives, or not like in a Buddhist sense, but I just mean like they've switched careers a lot of times, and so they have a very broad understanding of the world, and there's kind of just like a worldliness to them. So I asked him, like, I was like, this is how I kind of behave with people. I was like, hey, bro, like, I'm starting a philosophy podcast. Do you, would you be interested in this? And I kind of floated that out there. And maybe I just floated it out wrong. Maybe I was too blunt, or I don't know. Maybe I just said something wrong.
He slapped you, or like what?
No, he didn't slap me, but he just kind of like, just kind of ended the conversation and then left, like immediately after I said that.
Fuck up, yeah.
Well, no, that's basically, and then Mike was like, dude, what did you do? Like, why would you say that? I'm like, I met somebody cool. I want to make cool people part of what I'm doing. I think that's a compliment. Nobody ever hits me up for shit, maybe because they do stuff like this. But if they did, that would be like, oh man, like that's awesome. Like that's so fucking cool. Like I'd love to be part of this if I liked them.
Maybe being too friendly is the thing that turns people off.
Maybe. But then the way that you describe Kirk move, and I've seen this a couple times with him, but I mean he seems like he's more friendly than I am.
Yeah, no, but
different kind of friendliness.
Yeah, but like so in the cases that I talked about where he talked to girls, it's very it was more whatchamacallit. His motives were very clear, in a sense. Well, when you go to a bar and you hear someone going like, "Oh, I have a podcast," it's like, I have no fucking idea what.
Well, that's the fucking. I mean, it seemed like this guy was really open to shit. Obviously, he's
like
done so many crazy things.
Seems very open, but I think he's just being open just to be friendly, and then you know what I mean?
What's the difference?
Like the difference I see is Kirk will literally just say, "Hey, I want to get to know you." To all these girls, right? Like, let's say that because I was with them like half the time. He talked to these girls and like, so besides the girls, right? So like other people too. He like talks to people and just like, if they're engineers, he talks to engineering stuff. But the thing is, this is just a stranger, right?
Yeah.
Do you know if he was into podcasts?
No.
See, so yeah. So
just making sure it's recorded.
Yeah. And so the thing is like, it's kind of left field, you know. And when it's left field, I feel like people get turned off real fast when it's not a subject that they like are perfectly comfortable with.
So if I have a project like this, only bring it up if that's already the subject being talked about.
And also if they're like,
like in my head, he could have just said no.
Yeah, he could.
And then we would have just kept talking because he's a cool dude. I was
yeah. But think about this: he's also in a bar, and he has options to just fuck off somewhere else.
True.
So if it was more of a closed environment where you two like knew each other maybe more, and so he knew he'd be talking to you again, then it would make more sense.
Yeah. Huh.
It's kind of like Jerry in a sense too, like because he was like, you know he was like 3 years younger than us, right?
3 years?
2, 3, yeah.
I didn't know it was that big.
Yeah, he skipped like a grade or two, but that's why he always acted kind of funky. You know what I mean?
Wait, so was he smart or was he?
No, he was smart, but the thing is, he was like out of his time in a sense.
Yeah. Okay, I just assumed. I mean, I don't know. So some people just have interesting personalities. I just assumed.
Yeah, no, it's because Jerry's quite little younger than us.
Yeah.
And had a lot like different tastes, which is like I think, and especially during those years.
I don't want to shit talk Jerry on air. Jerry, I love you, but yeah.
No. I'll say Jerry's an amazing dude.
Yeah, he's cool.
I just think, like when you're pulled away from like your year and like thrown into people that are
absolutely
older, especially during high school, it's probably the worst time to ever like
lose your cohort.
Yeah. Because like because I know for a fact he tried his hardest to be friendly with people, but people always read him wrong.
Yeah.
You know, he'd always go like, "What's up, dude?" Yeah, he'd always talk to people, but people would like.
I mean,
you know,
it worked with me. I thought
it worked with me too, and a lot of other people. But like,
the whole football team loved him.
Yeah, no, but then you see like girls and like other people. Yeah. He always had trouble with them. It's because he's being really friendly, and they're just like, they're like in a totally different like generation practically.
Yeah, and then there's different social cues.
Yeah,
definitely. You know what works on the football team, which is being forward.
Yeah, no, with guys,
does not work
perfect. But with like the other sex, it's
not even with guys because we had friends in the drama department. If Jerry had tried to do drama and like got into those crowds, I think there is more of a nuance to the social stuff and like it's just outside of sports.
True. Yeah.
There's a lot more nuance. So that's interesting.
But I mean, the thing is with the drama crowd, they're not sports dudes. They're like.
Well, that's my point. Is like I don't want to say they behave more feminine, but
they're definitely a lot more feminine.
The way that they're
not gay feminine, but they're definitely more effeminate.
Yeah. There's more of it's like the whole courtly conduct thing. You got to be able to say what you want in 7 different ways without actually saying what you want. Yeah. It's the same thing. You got to be able to comport yourself to basically
comport. That's a cool
comport. Yeah. Comport. I'm pretty sure I'm using it in the right context. I'm like 70% sure. Anyways, but my whole point is you got to be able to communicate your intent without being too forward. By like design, like this is kind of a social game that people play, and I mean maybe it's just that with the whole like podcast thing, I kind of lost touch with that because it's been long enough where I'm kind of just with dudes like you or with even Kirk is pretty forward about stuff, at least with me, or Mike is for sure very forward about stuff. Where it's just like if I've got something on my mind, I say it. Vice versa, there isn't this kind of social game, so I guess I'm just out of practice with that maybe, but I don't know.
Yeah, right. So you're already like connected with a person, therefore you can send your ideas.
You can say whatever you want.
Yeah, but with strangers, it's like the moment you say something that doesn't have to be personal, but it's like you're trying to like say something that's very like connective and like friendly. It could put them off because like you're being way too like close, and I don't know you, so then
too revealing.
Yeah,
that's interesting. I fucking hate humans, dude. Why can't we just like get along and hug each other and like why do I have to learn social cues to talk to people? I just want to be fucking.
I guess it's kind of like what you said. Like you gotta learn how to say something 7 different ways.
I just want to be Jerry. I want everybody to be Jerry. That world would be so cool. It would be a nice place. Okay, so kind of switching topics, but it's similar actually to what we're talking about now. So this is an idea that I thought about. Once again, I've asked a lot of people. I got some interesting answers. Do you think How did I say this? Do you think romantic love exists?
Yeah.
Why?
Like, so...
How would you define it? Let's start with that.
I would say it's the embers of, like, a passionate relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And there's still something there. It's just, now that all the rough and tough stuff's already happened, it's like, now we're not just friends. We're, like, closer than that. So, therefore... And it'd be more mutual to be with each other, because both of y'all, like, have produce something in each other's lives that, like, really... they each desire, you know?
There's a mutual benefit that comes from being together.
And it doesn't have to be just sex.
Level,
it's emotional. Level, the emotional thing that comes out, like, of love, That's what I would say.
So, the way that I would define it, I'm trying to think what I said. What did I say? It was like, I said, doesn't exist, but this is a very cynical take. And once again, I'm never, any idea that I say in general, I'm never really that wedded to. I just think it's an interesting thing to think about, and it's maybe an interesting, useful way to conceptualize something. But somebody asked me, well, what would it be if it wasn't that? And I said collective delusion, which is a super hot take. But yeah. But no, but think about it. Like there is a physical attraction that you feel to somebody, okay? But fundamentally what I see is that there's a reason why when women and romantic love for me is not necessarily like the kind of love it almost seemed like you were describing is the kind of love that you would experience in a healthy marriage. Yeah. Where it's this longer term thing. So for let's say the way that I define romance is more related to infatuation. Yeah. Right? The ideals that each gender has of the other gender fundamentally do not align. And what I mean by that is so there's a reason why the vast majority of people who read 50 Shades of Grey are chicks. There's a certain kind of gestalt fantasy among women as a group. And I'm not saying all women have 50 Shades of Grey fantasies. Of course, that's not true. But I'm just saying it more than men. There is that trend.
You know what's funny? What? Is I feel like most women that read 50 Shades of Grey aren't our age or a little older. They're already married women. Yeah. 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 They're trying to live out something that maybe doesn't exist.
But the other side of the coin is, what is the main one? Once again, not all men, but what is one? Which group consumes the majority of hardcore pornography? It's men. Yeah. It's not women. Women tend, if they are going to consume some sort of smut, it's usually written like 50 Shades of Grey, or if it's romance novels, or even if it's tame. Graphic novels or something like that. Maybe not tame, because I've seen some really pretty hardcore graphic novels that are aimed at women.
Okay, so there's always going to be those, but 50 Shades of Grey is pretty tame in terms of
I haven't read it, so I'm not sure.
I've seen some stuff out of it.
Would you consider BDSM to be tame? I don't think that's tame, and it's a BDSM novel.
Well, that's not. I think BDSM is way too vague because there's so much shit involved in it.
That's true.
You could literally have whatever held those the wooden horse thing. Yeah, those crazy torture devices. Those crazy devices. That's getting to the more extreme part. Or you could just handcuffs. That's BDSM.
Well, so let's say let's not be that broad then. Let's say dominance and submission, because that really is
master slave thing.
It doesn't have to be master slave, just somebody who is in control, somebody who is giving up control. Okay. That seems like it's the spirit of 50 Shades of Grey. Yeah. That seems to be a thing that chicks dig.
But usually in a relationship, that's kind of how it naturally forms.
One person is going to have.
It's just 50 Shades of Grey is just cranked up.
It to 11, yeah. Well, so where I'm going with that is, I think if you look at the ideal, and I don't know if this is cultural, it probably is cultural to an extent. There's some kind of feedback thing where certain tropes get perpetuated. You see something enough as a kid in movies, and you start thinking that's normal, even though it's not. So my whole point is that the fantasies that both men and women have, generally speaking, don't align. So when somebody's in romantic love with somebody else, they are in love, I think, with the perception or the ideal that they're projecting outward, that they want to see. And that person that they're in a relationship with fits that ideal enough that they kind of fall into this lulled sense of this person actually is that. And it's like, well, no, hold on. They're close enough that, yeah, maybe you can make the argument that they're very similar to that. But there's never going to be anybody that truly aligns with the ideal that you put forward onto other people.
Yeah.
Because so much of it comes from your own internal states and your history, what you've seen before. And obviously they haven't experienced the exact same things as you. They literally don't have your genitalia or your hormones. So they're probably going to interpret things a little bit differently than you do. And so my whole point is that...
Pretty based.
I'm not... Once again, I'm not going to be like, this is a whole red pill thing. It's not. I just think that generally speaking, men and women, what the ideal is in a relationship is going to be different between the two. And so does romantic love exist? If we're going to say love is this thing that is in between two people and mutually shared, I don't think that exists. I think that what you have is two ideals that align closely enough that it gives the illusion, or almost like an emergent thing, like an emergent behavior between two things. But fundamentally, the states are still separated. It's just that they're close enough that you can kind of make the connection as the human brain does to conclude that, oh, they're connected. Oh, the romantic love is a thing. It's like, no, the ideals are close enough. That doesn't mean that it's actually there. It just means that it looks like it's there. Or it feels like it's there. So do you think that's a good way to think about it, or do you think I'm wrong?
No, I think that's a pretty good way to look at it. Mm-hmm. You know?
So then the next question is, the kind of romantic love that you mentioned that's like deeper on a marriage level, do you think at that point if you've shared enough history with somebody that your ideals eventually do become shared? Because when I'm talking about romance, I'm talking about the infatuated part of
this
it.
is what I'm thinking. So, like, if you knew someone long enough, mm-hmm. I would feel like the ideal is going to break down because you know them more, mm-hmm. and you know that, they ain't...
You're dealing with them, not the projection.
Yeah, the projection, and therefore you can kind of mesh more, and that's when it comes to like a possibility of, oh, this could be a lot longer term.
Yeah.
Because you actually understand the boundaries of each other. Well, some people that hooked up, probably not thinking about marriage because they don't know each other that well, mm-hmm. and each other's boundaries. But their ideals are still aligning so far,
So how long do you think that takes to get that kind of shared history? And if you have, like, going back to living deeply, if you have a deep experience together, do you think that would speed that process up of becoming more aligned on an actual human level? Of, like, I'm dealing with the person, I'm not just dealing with who I think that person is. I actually know the person.
I really think, in terms of the deeper life, like, which outlook mm-hmm. that people have. I think it's like both people need to have the similar outlook. It's like one person wants a family, the other person doesn't. Probably won't work. But two people that are like kind of thinking the same thing probably would work a lot better, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So
from the get-go, you would want to have at least some kind of aligned ideal.
Well, marriage is pretty much a contract saying let's be together and share the same home mm-hmm. and income.
Assets.
Yeah, so it's a mutual understanding, more of like a societal thing after that. And I'd imagine you'd have to share the same outlook in order to commit to such a thing. Of course, people change, so could divorce and whatnot.
So you mentioned the divorce and stuff like that. Do you think that the modern marriage laws and the marriage sort of culture that we have right now, do you think that that's just sort of this anachronistic holdover from like a different time, or do you think that there is, or what I'm trying to get at is, should we change marriage laws and marriage customs, like codified like customs around marriage, to more accurately reflect the current state of the culture, or do you think that we should try and make a cultural change to like where we used to be, where I think our culture aligned much more closely with the codified laws around marriage?
Let me think about that. I think the laws are fine. Mm-hmm. Like, they're pretty simple and forward already. It isn't like there's like secret text underneath or anything like that. Yeah. But the issue, I think, is so many people grow up having all these ideas on how marriage works and relationships are, and like, I'm free to do whatever, and it never works out because it's like I can only think of like akin to like the temperance movement movement. At the time, they're like, isn't it such a great idea? And they, things changed during that time, of course, like the Depression and all that stuff. But then they thought it was such a good idea to just ban it, because that's the extent of their understanding. So today, I feel that a lot of people have this strange idea from like the media they watch and from their parents, especially like the older generation. They're like, yeah, marriage is really simple, and like, I like that person. Yeah, let's like hook up, possibly have a family, and then it just doesn't work. Like I said, people grow, but so
in the
kind of convoluted.
In the 1950s, when divorce rates were much lower, this still happened, but they're.
But it was more tradition to stay with each other because of other reasons. But today the tradition's a lot different, and I would say it's also just the living standards.
Oh, going back to what you said, because people have so much on their own, there's no incentive to really stay with each other the same way that there was before.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
that makes sense.
Like back then, you actually needed like a breadwinner and like someone to like help keep the house going, raise the kids.
Yeah. I mean, if you think about like dishwashers, right?
Not everyone went to public school either back then.
That's true.
And public school is pretty much daycare up until the parents get back home, right around 5. So the kid could be home for 2 hours by themselves, not too much.
Yeah. Homemaking used to be an actual thing that would take all day to do.
Yeah.
So there had to be some division.
Because like they had a whole standard of how the home should be and how the family should operate. Nowadays, it's just like, it's not bad, right? It's just, that's just how it changed. Well,
yeah, like
in my opinion.
Yeah.
Trying to think more about that. But definitely, I would say tradition-wise, it's just different, and especially with rising middle class. You see this in Asia, where women now have the opportunity to not be just wives and educate themselves, and then now, like, no one wants to fuck, pretty much, because everyone's too busy working.
Well, yeah, I mean, isn't that their own can of worms? So just because you have to dedicate your life to a company, right?
Well, specifically in like Japan and Korea, the only reason why, in my opinion, like, whole culture on working is so rigorous is because the companies, like a lot of the companies are all government based, like they're all propped up by the government, like all the chaebols in South Korea, like all the big mega corporations and monopolies, like LG, Samsung, SK Telecom, like everything that's in charge of all the public machinations, right? So they all are propped up by the government. They make up like 70% of their income, like the entire government income.
Wow.
Yeah, every year. So in terms, like, all the companies know what to do, what they need to do, and since they're so small of a country, and plus they have to sell and export products to China and like everywhere else, and have to compete with all that shit. Companies have to push people to do stuff, and then people are like, yeah, I want to push so I can get more money, and it's just like this vicious cycle where sooner or later now they're just working almost to death.
And the expectation is if you don't have that money at this point, then you're somehow behind, even though if you choose not to dedicate 18 hours of your day to something stupid, right? I would consider that a legitimate choice for your own life, but you're still considered less than.
But yeah, I would also just like say majority of it's the global competition.
Yeah.
And it's for such small and dense countries. Yeah. There's so much competition that they're like, yeah, we gotta fucking like do something.
Do it now. So do you think that would South Korea be as competitive as they are if they didn't have that kind of subsidy system? If they were more just free market, whatever.
So their system only works because they that's how they developed it to work.
Okay.
And it works. It's not really perfect, but it works. Like everyone says, all their capitalists. Like I don't know about monopolies and like this government thing being perfectly capitalistic.
Almost cartel.
I mean, it's very China-esque too, because that's what the CCP is. Like all the major companies in every province is represented by someone in the party, right?
Yeah.
They say communism with Chinese characteristics. It's literally just the Ponzi scheme they got going on.
Buy my NFTs. Sorry.
But that's the thing. It's like it works because they're able to funnel all the cash and all the people into these avenues of like, let's prop up the country by propping up these corporations where everyone works.
Yeah.
Korea worked because like a lot of the chaebols started in the 50s, right? When Korea was getting out of the war, they had a
what are they? So what are they called? Chaebols?
Yeah, chaebols.
How do you spell that?
Chaebols.
I've never heard of that word before.
Yeah, it is like it's.
Is that a thing specific to South Korea?
Yeah, like in Japan, there was zaibatsus.
Mm.
During World War II, you know, like Mitsubishi, all
really?
those. There's a few. Well, actually, I don't know if Mitsubishi.
So during the World War II, was Fanta and Volkswagen, were they considered the same, like, similar thing? Because weren't they also part of the Nazi apparatus?
Kind of, but like, it's a little different because like all those German companies were vying for contracts. The thing is, you go to the zaibatsus and the chaebols; they're actually part of the government.
Okay.
Like the government has actually incorporated, like the zaibatsus actually had, like, it's like so Star Wars-esque. They actually had political representation in the government.
Really?
Yeah. You know, like the Trade Federation and like
episode 1. You're right.
Shit like that was possible because they were so big.
Huh.
And so it is. I mean, you could say that chaebols are just a continuation of zaibatsus because like Korea was colonized by Japan. Maybe that's where they got the idea for all these. But the whole
so do these go back then, like beyond, like before the Industrial Revolution?
No, like it's probably around that time they come out.
Okay.
Yeah, it's because the Industrial Revolution, like especially when it hit Asia, like Japan, right? Mm-hmm. They're the only Asian country that didn't get colonized. They industrialized before they could. So so like so chaebols and the zaibatsus. So similar thing is they both have their own banking systems. Like so right, every family member owns and operates like a part of their weird megacorp.
No, I'm just
I'm
picturing the thing as you're saying it. I'm building it.
Yeah. So like, especially for like,
it's a nice fucking drink you got there, dude. What are you drinking? What is that?
It's just sparkling ice.
We're gonna get sued now. Why would you say that? Why would you say the brand name, LT?
It doesn't even have ice on it.
God, we're doomed. It's over.
No, but yeah. So the zaibatsus and the chaebols, right?
Yeah.
So they would split up all the assets within the family. So stayed with the family, and then each family member owned so one would own the bank. Mm-hmm. So then all the other subsidiaries could borrow money and get loans and do whatever through that same bank, so they wouldn't have to go to a foreign bank and have to deal with like interest rates and whatnot. Sense, yeah. So they're all like little mini economies within the economy, mm-hmm. and they don't have to deal with any like increased rates. You know, so they would save a fuck ton of money.
So it made sense at the time, and what we have now is just a perpetuation of that, essentially.
Yeah, mm-hmm. And it works, but many people say like that's very monopolistic. And but it works because because like so similar to what happened in Japan, Korea did the chaebols, right, to compete in a growing like world where now instead of being war torn, now they have like all this time and money from the U.S. to just develop. So, and when a company would fail, the government would bail them out, and then they would just keep on growing until you have what they are today, in a sense.
Do chaebols exist in North Korea?
No.
Just
everything's part of the government. Yeah, there is no companies in North Korea. It's a shit show. But yeah, worked in South Korea and still kind of works today. Like when I went there, like Samsung had their own clothing store.
Wow.
You know. So
does each like major corporation also have like a shopping mall, like you said, like this almost internalized?
Like Hyundai had a department store there. Mm-hmm. You know, the car company. Yeah. And I was like, I think like one of the younger relatives owned that department store, so that's why it's the Hyundai department store.
I see.
So
they do make really good cars. But my Honda still goes, and it's fucking like 22
that's a
old.
Honda, not a Hyundai.
Okay, sure.
Honda is Japanese.
Honda. Yeah. But like you said with the Zaibatsus, what were they called?
Yeah, they don't really exist that much today
because
they were like, I mean, there's still companies that were part of them, but yeah, they were dismantled like after World War II. So
okay,
like they were big. So
mm-hmm. So let's see here. Is there anything else you want to talk about or on?
Oh,
really quick. I do have something. So, I'm kind of, I think I would like to call it soon.
Yeah.
So we've been talking for a little while, and then we can hang out for, whatever. Actually hang out. As far as the first text that we're going to be reading, there's two. So the first one, I can show you the copy that I have. You can get it on Amazon. You can probably pirate it too if you're so inclined. I'm not saying you should, but I'm saying if you were so inclined, you could. It's On Living and Dying by Cicero, and we're pairing that with the Nicomachean Ethics by Aristotle. Right, this is episode 0, so next episode will be episode 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. through 12. And each of those books, the first one, Cicero's book, is about 160 pages. Nicomachean Ethics is about 180 pages, so it kind of breaks up into 12 sections. Is pretty doable over the course of a week. Because it's, total, it's probably 30 pages or whatever. And so those are the ones that we're going to be reading. First, Nicomachean Ethics you can find for free as a PDF. So before you go, I can print off that for you.
Or just, give me the names so I can look them up.
yeah, that's it. Yeah, and then so try and get the other book. It's like $8 on Amazon. It's pretty cheap. And then we will be reading that, and then we'll be going over. At least I'll be writing down actual notes for it that we can talk about on the show for next time. That was what I wanted to say. So is there anything else you want to say?
I think I'm good, yeah.
We're good? All right. Thank you for listening to episode 0 of Digital Ascetic. I challenge all of you listeners to also consume less digital media for the 12 weeks that you're going to be with us, and hopefully for the rest of your lives, because you're going to be watching an ongoing series that I'm going to get more guests on. The more guests I have on, the more guests I will get on. And onward and upward, because I don't actually know how to end this, so I'm just going to be really cliche and cheesy. All right. Thank you for listening. Have a good night.